Welcome, folks, to another journey with Kentucky Sisters. This is what once was known as the Mount Zion Baptist Church in Kenvir, Kentucky. It was organized in 1923, built in 1949. Reverend A. Snell, pastor. Reverend O.C. Childs, pastor in 1960. The board members was Deacon George Burris, Philip Witherspoon, Willie Bennett, Warren Bennett, Wallace White, S.V. Anderson, Reverend Ernest Hedden, treasurer, and C. William Frazier, church clerk in May of 1960. Now, as we stand here, we see the church is old and it's been vandalized. It is community owned. And we're going to give you a tour through this church. Say hello, Kathy.
Hello.
We are going to give you a tour through this church, the Mount Zion Church in Kenvir, Kentucky here. Now, I have got a little bit of information on this church. Thanks to Rita Gregory. I'm giving you a shout out. Thank you so much for the information that you provided to us. Rita was Rita Carr, and her and her sisters, her family, they ran this church. They were like the owners, but not the owners, because it is community owned. Now, as I'm learning about this church, it did quit running between the 1980s 1990s, somewhere in that vicinity. It had a playground next to us that we're going to take you to after we show you around in the church. The last preacher known, he was a black minister, and this is in Colored Camp here in Kenvir, Kentucky. That's what the old timers know it as, is the Colored Camp. There were several pastors that pastored this church, and Rita's grandmother and mom, they would get the pastors and try to run the church as they did back in the days where it was a booming little church. And then it fell apart, and everyone drifted away, and they moved away, and they were a lot of old people went to church here, so they died off. And since then, the church it just sat here. It has sat here and it's fallen. And what a shame for a church to be just left by itself, wasting away to nothing. Now, a few years ago, me and Kathy here, we came and done some investigation on the church, because the tale is that after it closed its doors, they were some devil worshiping stuff that went on in the basement of this church, which is very, very sad. That's just a tale. Don't take my word on that, but that's what was told. And down in the basement where the baptism and stuff is, they are some devil stuff, which I find very, very sad in the house of God. We went in it. What I was going to tell you is a little while ago, we had went into the church a few years ago. The pews was still here. The songbooks was placed nicely. The doors were still in contact. I mean, it still looked like the church was actually run.
And the windows weren't busted.
The windows wasn't busted. And now, as we journey inside, we'll show you all of that, how it sits now. And this was only 4 years ago, about give or take a little. Yeah. But another time, we came up here and looked around, and because since I have lived in Kenvir, I've always found this church amazing. Yeah. I've always been drawn to it, and I just love it. Yeah. It's one of those old churches that you never see hardly anymore. So I find it amusing that...
And that's being forgotten.
Yeah, it's just been forgotten about. And But anyhow, as you can see over there, I guess that used to be the outhouse to the church before they did get the water running to the church. So I find that really, really nice. And again, another shout out to Rita Gregory for giving me some information. Jennifer Hicks, thank you for helping me with the information that I have gathered. So let's walk inside. Let's tour inside as we
do our journey.
This is the upstairs of the church. It is overgrown with weeds and what have you. We should have used the steps, but we're going to climb this little wall
Watch
here.
Go
on, I gotcha.
Wait a minute.
Gotcha.
Wait. Come on. All right.
As we journey, they were beautiful doors here 4 years ago.
Doors, yeah.
It's just been tore, and
It's
here
very sad.
we've got to really be careful in this spot because the floors is weak. We have walked around in here before we started the video just to make sure we could walk inside the church. Kathy, Jeff, you stay with us. We've got Kathy's husband Jeff with us, just in case we needed him. These floors are very, very weak here, so we are taking a chance of, woo. Okay, they feel pretty sturdy here on out. Over there is a little weak, but you can see the ceiling is falling, which is very sad. But like I said, about 4 years ago, give or take, we were in this church and all the pews were set up so nicely. Now there's not a pew in the church. And the pulpit set there,
Right there,
and it's gone. It's no longer there. And all these songbooks we found like this when we entered the church this morning. But now it's just decaying and rotting away, which is very sad for a church. These are the songbooks now.
that we found them.
We found them laying like this.
Just like
But,
that, yeah.
you know, I sat here and I wonder how many people has actually held these songbooks and sung in front of the congregation with them. And it's a sad situation to see something like this just fall to pieces. And now this is looking back out at the church. It's really sad. Now, there was also another preacher, Reverend Ringland, preached here. And I did find his obituary, and he did pass away last year in October. And there's actually a picture of him standing like sort of right here on one of these sides. So this is,
post that too.
I will post that. I will make a video of some pictures that I have of this church. This is part one. As we move along downstairs where the baptism and stuff is, you all come along for another great journey and an explore with Kentucky Sisters, Exploring Forgotten Places, part one. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. And if anyone has any information on the places that we explore, feel free to leave it in the comment. We would greatly appreciate that. Like I said, we are new at a lot of these old places that some of you, maybe family members, has went here or
just been forgotten.
They've just been forgotten about, and it's a sad thing.
Yeah.
So as we move along in the basement, that will be our part two of this video. But this is part one. And again, this is Mount Zion Church in Kenvir, Kentucky. The old timers know this camp, this little area, as the colored camp. What a sad situation to see such a beautiful,
Very
beautiful
sad
place just sit here and go to waste. So again, follow us for part two.